Are you following a pattern with instructions that's asking you to sew in a sleeve like this? Maybe it's a blouse or a shirt. I'm going to show you how to do that. On the sleeve pattern, there's a double notch, which generally states that's the back of the sleeve. There's another notch on the other side, which shows it's the front half of the sleeve. And on here, we've got another notch, which is showing the shoulder. This is a multi-size pattern, which is why there's several lines. And I don't like to cut my multi-size patterns because I might need a larger size in the future. This is showing the armhole on my front pattern piece, and there's notches here to show as well. So the sleeve notches need to match up with the notches on the body. And this is the front, this is the back, my shoulder seam, and this is the armhole that I need to fit in my sleeve to. We need to pin the sleeve into the shirt right side to right side. I always start with the shoulder seam. I think that's the easiest place to start, in the middle. And at the centre of my sleeve, I've got this single notch. So if I match that to the seam, I can pin that in place. And then I want to match my notches up. So this is the back of the sleeve, and there's a double notch there, and there's a double notch on my sleeve. So this is the correct sleeve for this side. If I match the two notches up next and pin them, then all being well, the rest of the sleeve should fit in well. So here's the rest of this sleeve to go in here. The seam, I'm not going to go, if I pinned it like this, let me show you what would happen. When I stitched it in place and then turned it out, it wouldn't match up correctly there. So instead, I'll imagine where that stitching line is and have the end of the sleeve hanging over the edge a little bit, if you will. But it means that on the other side, this point here, where the seam will go, will mean it will match up better. Let me show you what I mean. So there's the seam there. It's just going over, but when it's sewn, those two seams are going to match up okay. So that's in place. And then this looks to fit in quite nicely, so I can pop some pins in here as well. Gradually spacing out so there's pins evenly spaced throughout there. And then I've got this next section at the top here, and it looks like there's a little bit more sleeve than shirt, but if I gradually section that off into halves, I'll be able to fit this in. When you get to the machine, it's a good idea to have the pins facing down, and that's because there's more fabric on the sleeve than on the body, because the feed dogs on the sewing machine pull the fabric on the bottom through at a different rate to the top, and doing it this way, it works out a lot more even. So I'll get in position to start sewing. This is why I've put the pins in this way, so they're easy to pull out as I go along. Little reverse stitch to start, and then I shall sew this sleeve in position. I'm taking my time, gradually pulling the pins out as I go, and making sure that it's nice and smooth underneath. So making sure there's no puckers underneath. I've got a Tailors ham here, It's one that I made quite a few years ago. But if you can get a ham, it's really useful because you can press curves on it a bit easier. I need to press this seam towards the body of the shirt. So the sleeve is sitting quite happily over the curve of this ham while I press the seam towards the shirt. I shall press on the right side as well, just to make sure that's nice and flat on the right side. So my pattern says to top stitch the sleeve, which I'm going to do now. So this is my seam. I've got the seam pressed towards the body of the shirt, and this is the sleeve. And I'm now going to top stitch on here. I tend to eyeball this, if I'm really honest. I'll look at the foot and visualize this line, and I'm looking at this line more than what's stitching, just to check that the line of the seam is following the foot. So if I start doing that, let's see how it goes. And again, I'll go quite slowly. I won't rush doing this. But I've got my eye on this point here all along. So this is the top stitching on this sleeve, and on the underside you can see the seam has been caught in with that top stitching, so it's keeping the sleeve seam going towards the body of the shirt. Please see my next video to see how I get on with the rest of making this shirt. See you there.